morning, good day to you, as usual, wherever and whenever you listen to a series of knowledge is from Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. We welcome you back, and we wish you all the best if you are the follower of Christ in such a beautiful day as the Christmas Day of today. As these teachings have not stopped for nearly 13 years, doesn't matter Christmas, New Year, Eid, or whatever has been. We are here back with more or less understanding of what is happening to us, what's going on, and what we discussed last week. We started a few weeks ago about what we know as the 3I, and we put you all and us in a test seat for about 3-4 days. Since last Thursday, before 3I gets close to us, we watched it, what it does, how it behaves, what it does, and how did the world outside looked at it. And some pictures of it is still hidden. Some agents are not releasing what they saw in this close encounter. But we are the only structure in the world of the science who looks at the effect of the plasmatic field of this system on us. They have no knowledge, they cannot search, they don't understand. But as we have set up the preliminary basic structure for understanding the work of the plasma, and we have seen that this object was not a usual thing, has shown many characteristics, has done a lot of things against all the laws of the physics we know in the matter state, but everything it did from its appearance, now is departing the solar system, is in line with the world of plasma. But what was interesting, as we followed it through, going through the solar system, visiting step by step more or less every planet on the solar system, a lot of questions raised. Why such a behavior? We saw it splitting, we saw it creating, we saw it going nearest to the sun that it melts everything else, and it created a splashback because it could do, but it brought a number of questions forward. This visitor visits on a specific way and a specific reason. The physicists, the astronomy, and the space agencies look at what he did, what he created, but everything we saw from the beginning is the behavior of a plasma. And we kept an eye on it. And the best we could do is how to analyze what it does to us when it passes us. I watched and I studied this passing by of the Earth in the past week. What I observed is amazing, is mind-blowing. It's beyond understanding of the human race today. This is why every time this thing passes us, supposedly 3 years, but looks like every 2,000 years, is not what we thought. What we gathered, as you were all here last Thursday, a normal behavior. But as it got close to us, the following day, and passing us very close, still 160 million kilometers away, as I said to a knowledge seeker, I take my hat off to whoever is behind this thing. Is intelligent, is caring, is literally like what I call a bus route. It goes through, but it knows because of the situation, the bus can be in a different position. The range is still to be there. It nourishes, it exchanges, it does everything that what we don't see in the physical dimension. When he got to Earth, he did strange things. We monitored the spectrum of the 2 channels which it could work. The knowledge within the Keshe Foundation is so deep that we are frightened to share. But we set up a structure, we set up deliberately receivers, transmitters on its path to see how it interacts, what it does. Last Thursday, we saw pictures of it in the dimension of the plasma. Clearly, undoubtedly, it was normal passing. It was as normal as we've seen, because in our system, we know what our system does in normal condition. And without knowledge seekers knowing, we started setting up the scene the weeks before for such an encounter. It was important for us to understand before close encounter, during the encounter, and after the encounter. So, if you remember as knowledge seekers, I shared with you an image of it before arrives and image of it when it was no contact with us. But the most important thing for us was to see and understand what it does, how it behaves, how it just brings everything together, how it changes us, and what this is up to. I'm a man of wisdom in space technology in the dimension of universal waves, plasmatic fields, and understanding of the creation of life. When I saw these images, it brought me shakes and shivers. I wrote in a simple way in one of the notes that this system has touched humanity, it will touch humanity, and we are fearful of what is to come. As you see, this is our system set up before 3-4 weeks ago, and we see a very normal, this is our normal system. We have a line of communication, we have a dimension of physicality, we receive from the top, which is the soul area, we interact with dimension of the physicality. Somewhere here is the go between universal energy and the physicality of the man, which we call the soul of physicality. This has been normal. We set it up. We were expecting. We had a blueprint. We didn't have to do anything. 3 weeks could not be tampered with. The line of communication is very clear. But something strange happened in the past few days. Very strange. And the most strangest part of this thing was this chap, Mr. 3i, is downloading passengers. Is literally downloading unknown entities to us. We have the confirmation of it. We can see the line of his channels of existence, and one after another, there was no doubt that this system, what we know as 3i, is downloading passengers. And you saw the line before. Now you see the line. 2 lines. It looks like it downloads seeds. But we had to look more exactly how this system works. How is transmitting, how is downloading, how it's interacting with us. And in the process of communication, we watched it, how impregnates the dimension of physicality to the point that as it needs, it nourishes what it wants. What this means is this guy is very clever. It brings seedlings to spaces it goes, and according to that space, it nourishes it. Works on a dimension of the physical side. We see this very clearly, strongly. You have to understand these are pictures out of the frame of the work. We have hours and hours of recording. You see what it does. It transmits in, downloads seeds in the energy level. And then what is more interesting for us is that we, without knowing, as a human race, nourish these creatures on this planet. The evidence of it is on this side of the picture. We've seen this, if you remember, months and a couple of years ago. There is nothing at all except on this dimension where the soul of physicality and the physicality merge to one. And it does it in pulses. The soul exists. We know all the green is a soul. But you see the physicality. And the soul of physicality becomes one. This is seeding. This is how we see life in the earliest stages of the womb of the mother with the child. And for sure, this chap, our 3i, is using this planet for a specific jobs of bringing new cycle of life and leaving it behind. It is clear to me, spending hours studying every point, especially, for example, when you look at this picture, is much more clearer. You see, it does it in pulses. The first line is still there, which we created time ago. And as we watch the video, this pulse moves in and then it moves out. It means it's downloading. It's literally as a bus, passengers off, passengers on. I'll pick you up in 3,000 years. And the intensity of work with this system is amazing. We have recorded everything of this system on our files. In coming time, we'll release it for the world of science and knowledge to analyze this encounter, this behavior. And you can see here very clearly, very, very clearly, there is nothing and absolutely nothing but solar physicality. Soul doesn't exist, physicality doesn't exist. It's a pure download. We deliver, let it gather its soul, let it gather its physicality, and we see it on this side, clearly the behavior. There are two things which explains why our ancestors have seen this as a light, have seen this, what we call system, as a journey of life. What we see on this screen is what you saw before encounter. If you go back on the pictures of last week, this is what we set up. We expect near this, but once this gentleman or creature approached us, we saw this. There is no hardly any soul. It's only solar physicality. This is us sitting on our system. What is clear after a week of studying this intensely and literally watching the videos, every second of it, going through it hundreds of times back and forth, is that we are just a nursery on this planet. And from what we saw in the past 3 months from this system, it's a very clever system. And it deals with every planet according to what it needs from that planet. What its plan is like a train with different animals living in a zoo, and the bus comes, different food for different animals in the zoo, one on Earth, one on Jupiter, one on Saturn. And this system must be carrying not just life from this planet, it carries life from the universe. It's a choo-choo train of university, of universal life, knowledge, food, culture, looking after. It's a newborn seedling, growing to go. This atmosphere allows 2 legs, 2 arms. Jupiter allows different life. We've seen it when it's near other planet, releases certain characteristics, energies, which matches. And to what we see in deep understanding of this process, there is hundreds and hundreds of pictures have been created, hours and hours of videos from this, before encounter, during the encounter, after the encounter, and 2 days after the encounter. It's very clear this system is highly intellectual, highly, what I call diverse in life, knows the needs of the system, satellites, solar systems, galaxies which it passes. Most probably, in one of the pictures, what I saw is transferring, transmuting passengers. This is one of the pictures. It delivers in different strength, different creatures to the planet. Does it feed living beings within the structure of this planet? Deep, high temperature, live different than us. High, cold temperatures live different than us. And my understanding is yes. This thing is not just something which passes us, it's something which feeds us. It feels for sure affects our intelligence, for sure affects our life, and for sure this time around maybe near is match on this planet. I explained this one day why is met is match. I deliberately set up a communication on a bandwidth of the universal line of communication. This system is not used to receiving this. Different organizations at different frequencies, everything else. But universal systems don't work on frequencies. Because it knows this is what you hear, it matches you to come. The universal system works on universal field energies. Sound has limitation and it has time delay. Universal energies on the field strength don't have such a thing. Even though we understand the process, we could not match some of his, what we call, integral part of his work, but we did. And in certain system parameters, we see the response. I have filed the whole of 4 days of interaction into a file. And in the near future, will be given to those who join us in the space development to study. It gives a lot of knowledge. It gives a lot of understanding. It brings humanity to the point that not only we are not alone on this planet, we are like those maybe seeded through the time by the same system thousands of years ago and evolved. Maybe the system approached Earth the way it does with Jupiter and Saturn and those stages of their places in the solar system, and seeded the system for the time when it gets to this position. Universe does not need humanity, but universe needs a seeding. One thing which is very interesting, in one of these systems, one of these recordings, we see the flight of a soul. We see clearly passing through an energy which is correspondent to transfer of the soul. Energy without dimension of physicality. We see this a few times in this. There are very clear pictures of it in recording. And what is interesting is, as I showed on the line before, who leaves when it's here? We wait in a bus station, we queue up for the bus to turn up to jump on. Which souls were waiting for to jump on? What did they get from here? What was the level of nourishment? Do they not need, as man and the animals die, to become a passenger of universe? But they choose, they've been here, they're educated, they're nourished. Now it's time to go there with tourists, which travel in that dimension. The system does not come close at 160 million kilometers is good enough. If you would have come closer to what we see, the data we collected would have enlightened life on this planet. So it cares. It has respect for life. And in so many ways, I keep my distance, that my investments are past millions of years from the time this planet was on the outskirts of the solar system to now will not be damaged. A few questions in past week has risen. Watching this process, understanding this, is that what kind of creature does this? Is not intelligent enough, but manifests itself in a dimension of physicality to travel. It's good enough for it to do what it does, but transfers energy and mass together. What is interesting in one of these pictures is that sending an energy in mass, it converts it into a mass. It's a physical entity. And the most strangest thing is, maybe I can show you one of the pictures, is that it decides when to switch us from understanding of the emotion on and off. This is the picture. And you see it, how it works. In the direction and the dimension, very easily, what it does is brings the life directly in, and in so many ways, itself suddenly switches everything off. You see it here. Means it works without consciousness. And it does this quite frequently. It does it in pulses, it does it in transmission of certain, what we call field strength, that literally the soul and the physicality is a dimension of life. Okay, I transfer you to a living things with emotion, with life. Now I switch back on, I switch back off. What is interesting is how this system, 3I, has been working on this planet, around this planet, and with it. You look at this one here. Why is switched off? I bring it for you. You see where the switch off is, and then you see this. Why suddenly this here? I'll clear the dot that you can see it. You see, it's a transmission of the soul, very singularly a package. How many millions are in this package? It anchors directly into the soul of physicality, and it goes on in manifestation of itself. And then we see strange characteristics like this. And then it gets worse like this. In a way, this is what, as I said, we see in the womb of the mother. This is why we cannot pinpoint who is from this planet. This is literally the soul of physicality. I deliver you, if you look at it, and when you look at the other side of it, I deliver you as the soul of physicality. You decide this planet how to shape you. You want to be a dog, you want to be a cat, you want to be a man, a tree. It decides by itself. And this picture is a very clear indication that this system uses this planet as a seed, as a greenhouse for the seed to grow. Energy fields of what are called citizens of the universe, which can match to the strength of the field of this planet. We don't see any physicality in this. Nothing. So, and the strangest thing is, if you look at it, it's in the line of its transmission. And this womb sits here. It's very clear for those of you who've been here, and if you remember, this system, the way we set it up, has a very, very clear, distinct lines. Dimension of the soul. Dimension of the soul of physicality and dimension of physicality. We've seen lines across here. We've seen 2 lines across here. Never seen 2 lines coming this way. Which means does not touch the soul. It lets the soul to be created on this planet according to his wish. In a way, I leave you here, you decide what you want to be. And what is interesting, again, I'm sure in the future our scientists will study this closely, is these lines. Different packages. Most probably one for the human life, one for the plant life, one for the ocean life, maybe one for deeper earth layers, one for the upper layer of atmosphere, and the rest of it. I deliver, you see where it suits and it fits you to give yourself physicality. So, as the world watched this meteorite passing with its abnormal behavior, and coincidentally happens to be around the longest night of the year, unusual pattern, we raise one question. Which one of you listening is from this planet, and which one of you is sitting duck, waiting for the maturity of the soul, not to die, but to become passengers of this system? You need a longer time. But as I said to a knowledge seeker in the past few days, is what is interesting is a number of points. 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, 6,000 years ago, 9,000 years ago, the sun was not in the position it is now in its galaxy. And the galaxy was billions of kilometers different than what it is now. And our solar system is not in the same position it was 6,000, 9,000, 3,000 years ago. But what is interesting is how this chap knows where everyone is and matches into it. The cosmologists have made it too simple. Oh, it comes and it goes, it's this, it's that, it came close. But it's such a huge intelligence and coordination with the system that if we understand the whole principle behind this work, we come to understand an amazing structure of life, an amazing, what I call, style that shocks us to understand. So there is a huge intelligence behind this system. As I said, we consider our solar system here. I'll go somewhere else which is easier to do. We have to consider that if our solar system was here in this galaxy and our galaxy was somewhere else and it moved to this position over 2,000, 3,000 years ago, and then our solar system again moved in another position now compared to 3,000 years ago in its galaxy, and then our planet moved in another position, how come the system comes and passes it through the same cycle that it is? We see it frequently. It knows everything in its solar system. It knows every galaxy moving billions of kilometers. It's a loose bullet. It can go anywhere. But how does it come to the point, to the minute, to the day, to be in the same place? It's like German train system. Timetable, precise, route written, but adopted, adjusted according to. When you look at this dimension of work, this precision is better than the German system. Over thousands of years, remembering what he has a biological structure, is not a solid thing. He has a plasmatic biological structure, and in so many ways, I put to you one question. Has man made fool of himself, calling himself the only creature in the universe? Or our arrogance of lack of understanding the process of creation has brought us to blind ourselves and ignorance to truth about the creation? In the process of past week, we have connected a system to 3i. We understand the line of communication. We have matched the line of communication in the plasmatic system. We will connect. We are connected. We cannot break it. It's done. We'll know of its interaction and its process, and it'll be shown in every single system ever we created, because we are connected to it. Our system has set to it. We have opened the channel of the universal and the channel of the field to the creator magnetic field strength. Cannot be there any other way than this. And we hopefully watch, observe, and learn and share. And what is interesting for us is how beautiful this system works. Is a physical entity, but carries a knowledge of the energy fields of the universe. And it remembers like a blood which goes to liver, kidney, brain, everywhere else, which energy, who needs, what needs to be replenished, which cell in which part is due for its time to be paid a visit to, and what needs to be changed. It's like a clockwork. It's like an energy transfer system, and it's one of the most amazing systems man will ever come across to see. Man of matter watch this path of crossing. Man of understanding the world of creation observes energy transfer, its communication through that line, and understanding, very interesting, as I laughed when I heard it, but I shared the joke with you, is NASA and other agencies send the message and they receive the same message in the language of the man, which we communicate in celestial objects of man like satellites. And I said, the joke was, a mother speaks to a child according to his understanding. Man sends a message in the matter state, certain frequencies, and then he gets it back and is amazed because this mother knows every language and every age of the maturity of the universe, not alone man. It will take years to study exactly what happened to us here in the past few days, and years to observe how mankind will change. Every time this thing passes us, brings us new energy, new understanding, as it delivers a spectrum of the fields. In many ways, it matures us, it brings us intellect and new life in the dimension of the fields, and is for them to fit and match the environment in what they want to appear as man, a fish, the tree, an inner living life within this planet and above this planet, this atmospheric condition. I enjoyed a week of confirmation of the creation, in its line of creation, in how little we as human race understand the process of creation, and we're still sending messages in boundaries and frequencies, and then we get it back and we go, hooray, it answered, it took time. This system works directly in line with the work of the matter state when he wants to, and he works directly in the matter of the energy state as he wants to, and he operates both at the same time. Has a physicality, soul of physicality and the soul, and is aware of all within it. It's amazing. And I thank many times to be alive, to be present, to be able to record this for humanity in the time to come. That when they understand what needs to be done, when man matures to become passenger of the universe, what it needs to do. Thank you very much for today. It was one of the greatest pleasure and honor to be able to see this. And I hope one day humanity can learn from it. We have recorded it. Every second of it, more or less, which mattered, has been recorded before, during, and after. That in due course, humanity can study it and bring it to line to understand it more.